security is very important, especially in modern times where attacks are constant and that's a new normal, I suppose. And so how do we address security? Traditionally, security has been a nightmare. You go on every box, configure a whole bunch of ACLs, access control lists, and you have to make sure that you're not breaking anything when you're editing any one of them. And we have seen that it is very difficult to, in fact, remove an ACL because there is just no visibility in terms of the impact of that ACL has on the overall environment. So deleting it could be a challenge. So complex to write, complex to do change management, remove, very difficult to troubleshoot. How do we address this challenge? Well, let's look at the cloud guys. We'll go to our favorite example. In AWS, how are security policies managed for a given tenant? Well, first of all, they're centrally managed, so you don't have to do that on different instances or different VPC containers. There are two types of policies available: subnet-based policies, which are well understood. This one could think of these as our normal, L2 or VLAN-based policies. And these are compliance friendly because, all these applications that are compliance sensitive, there have been policies written for them, audits have been done, and they have been validated. And so subnet-based policies are very, very important. And there is a new class of policies that are also being implemented, which are called security groups-based policies, where one could think of them as subnet-based policies, where you could apply security policies to specific endpoints within a subnet or a VLAN. And it's very important to have the policies follow workloads. So these are principles that cloud providers have implemented. And so how do we take these principles and make them first principles for our on-prem environment? Well, let's start with central management of controllers, ACLs. And this can only be done through a controller-based system. And so central management occurs, for example, in the Cloud Fabric through the controller. The fact that controller manages the entire fabric as one logical unit makes it very easy for policies to follow the workload. Workload can go from rack 1 to rack 17, and the policies will follow. There is no additional, configuration or intervention required by the network or the security team. Policies are identified when you're doing, troubleshooting traces very easily, and we'll look at some examples. And one needs to add security groups to this environment. BCF as a physical fabric interoperates and integrates with Kubernetes, NSX, Nutanix, OpenStack, where security group and microsegmentation policies are defined and applied. So an example screenshot of policies are in the Cloud Fabric in the GUI are very easily created and visualized. So there is no need to go box by box here. And one important aspect of policies, in addition to doing change management, is doing troubleshooting. One of the very important care-abouts in data center operations, when you're checking for connectivity between source and destination, how do you check both the fabric connectivity as well as the fact that the policies are allowing configurations? Policies are configured to allow connectivity. And here, the trace clearly would show that the traffic is forwarded on the fabric, both in forward and reverse direction, and the specific ACL that enables that to occur. And so that level of granular troubleshooting becomes, makes life very easy because it's just a one-click operation. Select source, select destination, and go. Now, if traffic is dropped, if you have connectivity issues, it also identifies that specific network policy has been activated to drop the packets. And this way, one can easily determine whether it's a fabric problem or issue on the fabric, or whether it's an issue within the compute and storage environment within the application infrastructure.
Great. Network security is certainly a fundamental construct of any data center deployment. So I think it's no surprise that you selected controller-based ACLs for sign number 5. Let's jump into our next poll. In the next 12 months, how do you see your network security evolving? Select all that apply. Traditional ACL, controller-based ACL, or security groups, also known as microsegmentation. And any guesses for leading result here?
Probably the bottom two.
All right, let's see what our poll results show. 50% with controller-based ACL. Okay.
All right.
We have traditional ACL and security groups as a second place tie at 38%.
Fantastic.
All right. So
let's move on to the next sign.